So you guys have been non-stop asking me for an alpha tutorial. I mean, a specific alpha tutorial. But the thing is, I've already made a video on how to make alpha bracelets. I put the entire tutorial for alpha bracelets in my flat alpha video, which will be linked in the card and in the description if you want to see it. And by following that tutorial, you can make any alpha bracelet at all. The reason I make tutorials for specific normal patterns is because there's multiple different ways of reading a normal pattern, and some ways are easier and result in a faster creation of the bracelet, which is why I make tutorials on them. But it's not the same with alpha patterns. There's only one way you can read the pattern, and it's the same for every single pattern, so I don't make individual tutorials for alpha patterns. But today I thought I would just bring you along the journey of creating this design. This is not necessarily a tutorial, but it's just like a walkthrough of how I make my alpha bracelets. And I am going to be following the straight edges technique, as you can see, and also the flat alpha technique. So let's talk about this bracelet a little bit. First of all, let me walk you back. There is a lot of tape holding down this bracelet. I do that so the bracelet doesn't come undone when I pull on it. There's a lot of tension keeping it there. I'm also using a multicolored string for the background. I'm using this one. It is by a Russian brand called Captions. I got it while I was in Russia. I've already made 6 centimeters of this bracelet because I want my design to be centered. If you look at the design, it takes up 17 rows, and I make around 6 rows per centimeter. So if I want the entire bracelet to be about 15 centimeters and I make 6 rows per centimeter, that's going to be about 90 rows. And if you subtract 17 from that, that's going to be 73 rows for the sides. Divided by 2 for each side, that's going to be about 36 rows. And since I make 6 rows per centimeter, that will come to about 6 centimeters, which is exactly the length that I have here. So I'm exactly ready to start the design. Now, first thing that I notice is that I need to replace this string. My leading string has become really short and it's time to get that replaced. I don't want to replace it too close to the edge though, so I'm going to replace it somewhere closer in the middle. Thankfully for this row, I actually have the opportunity to do that. So this row is basically an empty background row, except there's one knot with a black string. And counting from the left side will be easier. There is 6 rows of background knot on the left, then 1 black knot, and then the rest of these are also background knots. So I'm separating these strings off to the side, and I'm just going to do background knots here with the background string. Starting, of course, with a forward-backward knot or the straight edge technique, really carefully because my string is very short. I'm going to make as many knots as I can with this short string to get it as close to the center as I can before replacing it. That way the sticking out strings from the back won't stick out too close to the edge and they'll be somewhere in the middle, making them easier to hide. It is very difficult to make knots with such a short string, however, so probably should have replaced this one row before. I have to sort of twist it. Ooh. Not very comfortable, must say. Alright, I think that's about all I can do with this tiny string, so I'm going to replace it here. I'm going to cut myself a new piece. Then I have some of this masking tape. I'm just going to tear off a small piece of that. Attach it to the tip of the string, just like so, and then place it underneath the bracelet. And I'm just going to weave it in like I would weave in a new color, except I'm not weaving in a new color, I'm just replacing the string. So half a knot, then put this string in between and make the second half of that knot. Now once that string is weaved in, we take this edge that we just want to remove now and place it behind the bracelet and off to the side so it's not in the way. Alright, so I'm going to continue with the remaining knots here. Alright, so this is the point where I need to weave in the black, and before I go into doing that, I want to recount these strings just to make sure. So I've got 6 strings and then this black one, that's correct. Gotta grab my black string, attach a piece of tape to it, put it somewhere in the back, and weave it in. First half of the knot, thread through the previous string, second half of the knot. And there we go, it's just one knot here, so I'm going to replace the string once again now. Back to the background string, doing the first half of the knot, putting that in the middle, and then the second half of the knot. So again, this is not necessarily a tutorial, this is just a walkthrough. If you want a more in-depth tutorial and an explanation as to what I'm doing, I did all of that in the flat alpha technique video. In that video I go into all of the basics, and here I won't be. Alright, so I just need to finish that row with these background knots, and here we've got the first knot of the design already in the bracelet. And this last knot is going to be a backward forward knot for that straight edge. Alright, next row, we've got basically the same thing. We've got just an empty row with one knot of black, and the black knot is going to be the next one. It's just one to the right from this one. So I'm going to put all of these away, make sure I don't accidentally knot on them because I do that sometimes. I'm just going to do background knots on these ones. So again, I'm starting off with another backward forward knot for the straight edge technique. You do one on each side for each row, and then I'm just going to do the background knots until we reach the black. Now we need to do one knot of black, so I'm going to do half of that knot, then thread through the background string, second half of the knot. Just like that, we replace it again with the background string, so there's just one knot of black in this row. I really like doing alpha patterns because row by row, you see the design sort of forming. It's like a printer. I know, there's something really mesmerizing and sort of calming about printing a design like this onto string. Alright, so the rest of these are going to just be background knots until the edge. And the edge is going to be a forward-backward knot to keep that straight edge going. Alright, next row we've got 6 background knots going from the right. Yep. And then we go into black. So we're going to start off with that, another forward-backward knot on the edge for that straight edge, and then just background knots for 6 knots. Now we bring in the black. We need to go all the way until this one and then 2 more. So I like to separate my strings always because sometimes I make too many knots and then I have to go back and untie them and I don't like doing that. So again, weaving in that black string, replacing it. Now that we've changed the leading string to the black and we're actually going to need more of the black, I'm going to put this background string into the background so it's not in the way. And just continue doing black knots for as long as I need to. So this is the edge of the little JUNIMO. I haven't talked about the pattern yet. This pattern is a little JUNIMO, which is from Stardew Valley, the game. I really like Stardew Valley, and the JUNIMOs are sort of like nice spirits. They're really sweet and they help you throughout the game. I've been playing Stardew Valley a lot recently, just trying to calm my nerves because I'm kind of anxious for various reasons that I don't want to get into, but it's been helping me just calm myself. And yeah, at this point I need to replace the string again, so I'm just gonna do that. And yeah, and I decided I'm gonna make a Stardew Valley pattern. So that's what we're doing today. I've also streamed Stardew Valley once on Twitch. It was really fun. Stardew Valley is a great game, I really love it. And not many of you guys showed up on the stream because I understand that you guys don't follow me for gameplay, I guess. But those of you who did, I think we had a fun time. So thank you for showing up if you did. But yeah, I really like it. And I'm making a bracelet about it today. Alright, and at the edge, a backward forward knot, like always. Alright, so for this row, we're going to be weaving in the green. So we start off with just 1 knot, and that's going to be the backward forward knot, because the edge string. Then right away, we're going into a knot of black, and carefully replacing that string here, threading it through, that's important. I want to pull on it a little bit here, just to sort of even it out. And then 2 knots of background. So replacing that string once again, putting it back, because I need to make a second knot now. I think that color is popping through a little bit, so I'm gonna place my thumb on the design and just pull on the black string a little bit, sort of pop it out. Then I have 1 knot of black. And at this point I can put the background string way behind because I don't need it for a while. And now I need to weave in the green, so let's cut that. Is this a good green, first of all? I think it is. The pattern itself has a little bit of a lighter green, but I have a much lighter green for the sort of highlighted area, so it should work fine. Also, I just now realized that I didn't pick out a pink color for the cheeks, but I'll figure it out. All right, that should do. Whoop. And we're just going to be making green knots basically for the same amount that we did black knots at the top, so I'm just going to separate it like that. So I don't always count out the strings, sometimes I just compare to previous rows. This is kind of easy, so we've got the same amount of green here as we had black on the other one, so I don't really have to count here. And replacing the green, or rather replacing the black with the green, and then putting the black behind and into the background there. We got some color going in for the JUNIMO. I actually thought of making this JUNIMO red. There's a couple of different variations of the pattern, and in game as well, the JUNIMOs are all different colors. But I went with green. In my game, they're actually multicolored. I have rainbow JUNIMOs, which I think are really cute. They change colors as you look at them, which I was very excited to show everyone when I was streaming. Alright, and then you replace with just one black knot right here. Then the green goes in the background. The background color comes back and replaces that black, because the rest of the row is just going to be background knots. You're going to be very careful here. You don't want to pull too hard, because then if you pull too hard, it's going to sort of pop out because it's going to pull on that string. So you want to be sort of gentle here, but still firm. Gentle, but still firm. I know that sounds really dumb. This is the part that I struggled with until very recently. I still kind of struggle with that, but definitely getting that tension just right is something that you work on, and it can only really be worked on through practice. You figure out your knot tension and you figure out how to make it work for you. I found that loosening up my background knots in general, like right now I'm making relatively loose knots. I normally would have made them much tighter. So loosening up my background knots I found helped me sort of keep a consistency with alphas, but tightening them up a little bit when I do the color switches I think also helps me personally, but this is something that you can only really get through practice, so highly recommend practicing. Forward, backward knot on the edge for that straight edge. Alright, so in this row we actually need to weave in two new colors. We need to weave in the highlight and also the pink for the blush. So we start off with 4 knots of the background string, so we're going to do that first. Starting off with a forward, backward again for the edge, and then 3 more. What I also like to do is like to fan out my strings, so I put each string into a finger and I sort of pull on them, I fan them out. So when I go in to actually making the knots, all the strings are already separated. I don't have to wait to separate them. I can just sort of bring out another finger and they're already separated. Makes it much faster and easier. Alright, next I need to do 1 black knot. So let's bring this one back. Just 1. And we need to weave in the highlight string, so let's get some of that going. Might have placed that a bit too low. I wonder if this color is going to look good. I don't actually know, but let's see. Yeah, I placed it way too low. I can't even pull it up. So let me replace that. Okay, this might actually be a good time to just remove all that tape and cut it off. I know that a lot of people are scared of cutting off their background strings. Don't be scared. They don't come undone. At least they never have for me, and I don't know anybody who has had strings come undone. But I do recommend waiting a couple of rows. So for example, this background string that we replaced in the very beginning, I can cut off already because we are a few rows down from that. But maybe this green that was just last row, I'll wait a little bit to cut that off, like a few more rows, just in case. But yeah, cutting strings off shouldn't be scary. It's just part of the process. All right, so maybe this time I can put it a little bit higher up. So I just need 2 of these. I think it looks kind of good. It's kind of hard to tell if the colors that you picked out are gonna look good. I never really know until I actually start making the bracelet and then see that, oh, these colors blend in too much. You can't really tell them apart. Oh no, these colors looks great together. So I don't think I'm actually gonna be able to tell that well until I really get into the bracelet. But yeah, I think they are kind of distinguishable from one another. I think they're fine. And now I need to make 5 knots of the green. So again, we just replace this string. Alright, I need a pink. I don't have the pink picked out. I do, however, because my desk is constantly a mess, have a pink here from like a previous bracelet or something. I don't need too much of it. I'm only making 4 knots. Right, I might be able to actually put this under the same piece of tape that I had from last time. Might not even need a new one. It's just there to secure it until I weave it in. And let's weave it in. Just 1 knot here. Back to the green we go. Okay, this is getting really messy. It gets messy real quick when you have a lot of colors. You have to be very careful in keeping track what you are doing and where. But now I'm just making 1 more green knot. Then this pink goes into the background. The black comes out from the background. Make sure that these strings don't interconnect. Oh, what did I do here? I did something weird. This pink string is going over the base string, so I'm gonna make sure the pink string is behind the base string, otherwise it's gonna pop out in the design. 2 black knots, okay. Alright, and the rest is background knots. Oh my god, there's so many strings out the back. Again, careful here with the replacement of the string, because otherwise you can kind of pull on it too hard and result in the bracelet sort of bunching up together. So you want to be careful here and do a final backward forward knot to finish this row. All right, so this row was a little bit, a whole lot was going on. There's a lot of colors changing in this row. You want to make sure that the row is still going straight. Before continuing, I'm just gonna push everything into place, make sure that it's all horizontal like I want it to be, make sure that it's not going in at any point, it's still going straight down in a vertical line here. If I make my knots a little bit looser, I can reposition them later with my fingernail like I'm doing here. And so with every row that I finish, especially with big rows like this one, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. And yeah, I'm just going to continue reading the pattern as I am here. I've done 5 rows with you guys, so I think I'm going to leave it here for now. Just wanted to give you guys a bit of a glimpse as to what alpha knotting is like on a sort of real-time basis, I guess. If you want a full tutorial, as I said, I have a tutorial on that. It will be linked in the description. But as of now, I guess I'll see you when I'm done. And this is what the bracelet looks like once it is complete. I think it looks super adorable. Look at that cute little JUNIMO. I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's pretty straight, it's pretty neat. The design lays flat on the bracelet. This is what the underside looks like, by the way, in case you're curious. The sort of stitching of the strings is typically how alphas look like because that's where the color switch happens. And I didn't do any special ties here. I just ended in a simple braid on both sides. No fancy shaped ties, just a braid. But yeah, overall, I'm very happy with this bracelet. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's not a tutorial, but a lot of you guys have been asking me to do a sort of more in-depth walkthrough, I guess, of how I make my alphas, so hopefully this gives you some insight into how I actually make them. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters whose names are going to appear on screen right now. Thank you guys very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. It is with your support that I'm able to produce these videos. And if you also want to become a patron, there is a link in the description where you can sign up and get exclusive perks for your donations. I would also really appreciate if you would consider subscribing. The channel's getting really close to 100k and that would be an awesome number to hit. But regardless, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!